Oh, mute.
The Bitcoin Group, the American original. For over the last 10 seconds, the sharpest Satoshis, the best Bitcoins, the hardest cryptocurrency talk. We'd like to welcome our panelists, Martine Wishmare from General Bytes,
Bom dia, crypto.
Dan Eve, the Crypto Raptor,
Happy Friday.
and I'm Thomas Hunt from the World Crypto Network. Moving on to Issue 1. Issue 1. Bitcoin recovers after touching 1 month low. The price of Bitcoin is going down again, but they say it might go up as well. The latest news claims that the Mt. Gox exchange might actually pay people back and pay them back in Bitcoin, which could crash the market again. Welcome back, Mt. Gox, and welcome back, Bitcoin price uncertainty. Martine Wishmare, will Mt. Gox crash the price of Bitcoin yet again?
Many of the people that had lost Bitcoin on Mt. Gox, the price was around $1,000 back then. So yeah, I think some will think, well, it's time to sell, all this hassle. I lost all my coins. I got a tiny little bit back. I still make a profit if I sell now. Let's just sell and grab some profits. On the other hand, I think there will be enough whales that will think buy the dip. Personally, I'm not selling a single Satoshi. Price will climb up very fast. It's good that these Bitcoins hit the market because it will give a little bit of liquidity. I wouldn't worry too much. If the price dips, it will be up in a few weeks. So don't worry about it.
Well, it's funny because I looked at my screenshots. It shows me screenshots from this day sometimes. And 3 years ago on this day, the price of Bitcoin was around $5,000 and it had just fallen 20% from $6,000. So once again, to say that we were at 69,000 and we've crashed to 60,000 when it was worth 5,000 3 years ago, it's just people don't have any kind of understanding of this market. They always call something a crash. I've seen crashes. We went down 90% one time. That's a crash. This is a correction. Dan Eve, your thoughts on Bitcoin price movement and the return of our good friend Mt. Gox?
Yeah, it's pretty incredible describing it as like a huge, like earth-shattering crash because, saying that Bitcoin crashed all the way down to $59,000 still sounds just so incredibly alien, right? It was like I say, $5,000 when it dropped from 6 to 5, and it's like, oh, 20%. And now that $1,000 like drop is just it's nothing. It was multi-$1,000 moves in a day. I'm not sure how many Bitcoin are going to be released back on from the Mt. Gox sale, but I agree with Martin. There's going to be like a nice mixture, I think, of people that probably thought, well, hey, I wouldn't have held the Bitcoin, all the way from $1,000. I probably would have sold some along the way. So they're kind of seeing it as a good thing, and they'll probably maybe sell a bit of profit. And then you've got the hardcore hodlers that would be like, hey, I would have never sold anything anyway. And so they will keep on holding until it's 100K plus. The Laser Eye crew, there's got to be a few of those guys in there. But ultimately, we were almost seeing a double top, and not reaching the previous high from all-time high earlier on this year. But obviously, we smashed through that, and that kind of makes me think that this momentum is going to keep on going. Right, it's just going to pop again, and it's December, like coming up. Like what was it in 2017? It was around about the 17th, I think, that we reached 17th, 18th. We reached all-time high. So we may see a bit of like history repeating, the will of the people. So, looking back at the charts of destiny and looking at those days and suddenly buying, in advance of the 17th, 18th, knowing that loads of other people are going to move the markets as well, because it's a very, it's a very reactive market, right? People tend to read a basic bit of information from, say, Elon Musk, and suddenly, buy. So it's very kind of, it's a very emotional market, and I think we're going to see some similar patterns that we saw in 2017 and some new all-time highs.
It's 140,000 Bitcoins. That's what I read somewhere. So that's quite a lot of Bitcoin.
So that's what's that 59,000. That's 8.2 billion. But that's only 8.2 billion is about 8% of the 8.5% of the current total market cap of like 1.1 trillion. So it's a reasonable amount, but it's not a huge amount.
I think Michael Saylor will buy them all.
Well, I agree with
Yeah.
Martin here. We've got this is another one of those non-issue issues where they know that there's going to be a huge release of Bitcoin, something like a Black Friday sale, and they're just waiting there with their money, the rich people. And all the other people are freaking out. The price is going up and down, and what am I going to do? And everyone else is just, they're greedy and they're trying to get more cheap Bitcoin. So when it hits that mark, they're going to buy and they'll stack right on top of each other and they'll drive it right back up. And everyone who sold and freaked out in the mid time and they're like, oh, I saw my value. You're just watching it too closely. If you just watch it once every 3 years, you'd be like, oh, 5K, 60K. This is the greatest thing ever. But we don't watch things every 3 years. We're trained by CNBC. We're trained by the Wall Street Journal to check your stocks every day. When everyone knows if you like a company, if you like Apple or you like Tesla or Rivian or whatever the new thing is, you buy it because you like it and you buy it long, you wait. They make their products, they're successful, they're not successful. That doesn't happen over the span of a day. It's not like Tesla became a bad investment yesterday, but it's a good investment tomorrow. It's good over 3 years or it's not good, but they trained you to check every day. So you check every day. So you freak out at every little movement, where the people who don't care, the people who have money, they don't check it every day because they don't care. They're just sitting back.
Thomas, wasn't it Warren Buffett that said investing is the transfer of wealth from the impatient to the patient? So
That seems like what's happening now. I think this is definitely the way we're going. Moving on to the exit question, competing against the predictor of predictors, the Bitcoin ball, the source of all truth and knowledge in the universe. We should make whole videos about this thing. This is smarter than any trader or any predictor, any triangle. The price of Bitcoin this time next week, Martin Wismar, higher or lower?
Next week will probably be a little bit higher. Yes, I'm bullish.
Dan Eve.
I'm still going for 69,420. I think I missed it last week.
69,420. And here we are asking the predictor ball. You have to give it a lot of money. It likes to hang out in Dubai. It doesn't like to be where we are. Will the price be higher this time next week? Outlook good. Outlook good. The ball has spoken. If you needed investment advice, trust the ball. No one else knows anything.
Whilst we're still on price, just really quickly, sorry, because it really piqued my interest last month, and we're talking about timeframes. And there was a tweet from Bitcoin, just at the bog standard at Bitcoin. It was the October 14th Bitcoin prices, and I'll just reel through them really quickly. So even if your time preference is just 1 year, 2010 10 cents, 2011 $4 1 cent, 2012 $11, 2013 135, 2014 408, 2015 248, down a bit. This is like doing the charts, isn't it? 2016 639, 2017 5,692, massive leg up there. 2018 6,226, 2019 8,310, 2020 11,393, and then boom, 2021 $57,405. So who can only imagine what it's going to be next year and beyond? And I know it's not all about price.
And the great part about tracking it yearly is that you only have to do one show a year. You only have to watch one show a year. You only have to buy one issue of the Wall Street Journal every year. As long as you could track this yearly, you'd be fine. But again, YouTube algorithm rewards people that do it every day. YouTube algorithm loves those clickbait headlines about how much you're going to make and this new shit coin and all that stuff. You don't need that. You could just buy it, go away, check it once a year, but you don't have that much patience. You love watching it every day. It's part of the fun. Moving on to issue 2, Hillary Clinton. Hillary Clinton fears that Bitcoin will undermine the dollar as the world reserve currency. Hillary warned, What looks like a very interesting and somewhat exotic effort to literally mine new coins in order to trade with them has the potential for undermining currencies, for undermining the role of the dollar as the reserve currency, for destabilizing nations, perhaps starting with small ones, but going much larger. We are not here to dump on Hillary Clinton like so many people would prefer. I believe we're here today to say that Hillary Clinton is right. Bitcoin will destabilize nations. It will undermine the dollar as a reserve currency. And we've been saying it for years. Dan Eve, is Hillary Clinton right?
Unfortunately, she actually is. Like she's spot on the money. It's almost like she doesn't realize what Bitcoin's about. Hasn't really done a lot of research. She's like, yeah, but it's gonna undermine fiat. Yeah, yeah, but it's gonna undermine governments. Yeah, these are all the things that kind of they're the root of Bitcoin and why it was created out of the birth of Bitcoin out of the financial crisis. But once again, it does seem it's a bit of a politician coming up with problems, not solutions, saying kind of stuff that's a bit whiffle waffly, like that it's going to destabilize nations. How it may destabilize currencies, but how it's going to destabilize nations is another story. Maybe it's referring to, say, I don't know, a bit more detail would be good, but I'm theorizing, like, I don't know, North Korea stacking Bitcoin, and then suddenly North Korea is a powerhouse, and that's worrying to destabilize other nations. That might be it. But also, I like the remarks about disinformation. You just think about, well, all the disinformation there is nowadays, and I must admit, my favorite Hillary Corker, which I remember recently, she said recently, I think it was recently, was that she applied for NASA when she was a little girl, and NASA said no, and then someone did the maths on it, and they were like, NASA wasn't invented then. so so that's disinformation too. So big up Bitcoin.
It reminds me of a lot of a few years ago when President Obama said that Bitcoin was like a Swiss bank account in your pocket. And I think I and every other Bitcoiner were like, well, yeah. And isn't that awesome? And that's not at all what President Obama meant. Martine Wismar, your thoughts on Hillary Clinton and the destruction of the US dollar?
I think she is right in a way. There's a limited amount of Bitcoin. It's like 21 million. Sure, the US dollar has been used as it's still being used as the world's reserve core currency, but like not long after the Second World War ended, all the finance ministers from all the European nations came together, and I don't know who the US finance minister was, and they asked him, like, this dollar thing as a reserve currency, this how does this work? Will you keep printing them? He said, yes, it's our currency and your problem. And now it's the other way around. Now it's Bitcoin. That's our currency and it's their problem. And I think it is good in a way that we are seeing a stateless, by the people currency becoming a world standard. And it would not have happened if the central banks globally, not just the Fed, but also the ECB and every other central bank, would have been going on a printing rampage during the past years. I believe there's more dollars printed in the past year alone, or 2 years, than there have been in the 100 years before that. It's just downright insane, and it's basically stealing, it's causing inflation, and that's stealing from everyone. And now everyone is pissed off with this. Sorry for my wording, but they're not happy with this, and they have a plan B, and plan B is Bitcoin. So I think this is, I think Hillary in that way is right. The only thing is she's 13 years too late with realizing it. So good luck in trying to stop it now. There's no
Martine, you're still a little quiet. Try to move closer to the microphone.
Okay.
But I do agree. Yes. And let's move on to the exit question. As Martine was mentioning, inflation. Is this the major inflation event that Bitcoiners have been waiting for? Is this the beginning of hyperinflation, or is this just a bump in the road caused by supply problems and the coronavirus? Dan Eve, inflation, yes or no?
Well, inflation is very bad, but what's really interesting is how many dumbass articles that we're seeing recently going, inflation's a good thing. And it's like that real cool meme that's going around that's like, inflation's really bad. Inflation's okay. Inflation's just transitory. Inflation is amazing. Like, what? Where's the logic? How does that even come in? Like, how is it logical that inflation is a good thing? That like a loaf of bread, even though like wages aren't rising, but because we're printing money out of thin air, a loaf of bread is like 20 cents one year, 25 cents the next year. Nothing's rising in line with it. It makes absolutely no sense. Stop printing money. It's ridiculous.
Martine Wishmayer.
I forgot the exit question, Thomas. I was so focused on.
Oh, you're still quiet. You got to go close on the microphone.
I forgot.
Just bring it in, man. People don't mind seeing a microphone. They're okay with it.
I forgot the exit question.
Inflation. Is this the inflation bump that everyone's waiting for, or is it just another bump in the road?
I don't think we've seen anything yet. Prices are going up. At General Buys, we make Bitcoin ATMs, and it's really crazy how prices of all the components go up. It's not just some components. It's even the price of steel has been going up like crazy, or the price of wooden pallets to transport stuff, or the price of transport. Everything is going up, and it's going up faster than I think they thought it would go up. And it's not just temporary. This is a permanent price increase we're seeing for everything, you know, like in the restaurants up, groceries up, everything is up. And electricity prices in the Netherlands, they went up sometimes 800%. So like 8 times, like it's ridiculous. And there's nothing good about inflation. Inflation is the politicians and the central banks creating more money to steal from everyone. Bad. Inflation bad. Bitcoin good. Inflation bad.
See, now you Bitcoiners are a hard lot to hang out with, right? You're all rooting for hyperinflation that destroys the economy and pretty much ruins everyone around us except the Bitcoiners. They'll be fine. So I don't think this is hyperinflation. I agree with Martin. This is bigger than they thought. Inflation is larger. I think it's around 6 to 8%. It might go up more. It pretty much directly caused by the coronavirus, economy shutdown, economy restart, the supply chain problems. Remember when that boat was wedged in the Suez Canal and you said, what has that got to do with me? I don't care about big tankers being wedged in the Suez Canal, but it backed up all the other boats. In the same way, the coronavirus having all these factories shut down, even for a day, even for a week, it backed up all these factories. So we have a legitimate supply chain problem. Example, you go to IKEA, you can't get the right color bookcase anymore. And I used to go to IKEA all the time for bookcases. Now all my bookcases are random colors and I just deal with it because the supply chain is effed and I want to put my stuff on shelves. So I don't think we're at end of the world hyperinflation yet. I also don't think in America that the infrastructure bill is going to add to inflation. It's a fascinating thing. You've got to study where the money's spent. But if you're spending the money on roads and bridges and things that contribute to the economy, government spending can actually make the economy go up. I know it's shocking, it's horrifying, but everything's a shade of gray. You really have to study more details. The Build Back Better bill, the second half, the social safety net, that's a little bit more. That might cause inflation. So I'll give you that one. But the infrastructure one, that's all good. As far as hyperinflation, end of the world, we're not there. As far as, you know, like Hillary's saying, overturning the petrodollar, we're not there. But it's like the old joke that they say from the 20s, you know, how did you go broke, Mr. Rockefeller? At first slowly, and then all at once. So we won't really know it till we run over it. And when we really run over it, yeah, it's going to be like Cormac McCarthy's The Road, right? It's going to be desperate and awful. And you think your citadels are great, but there was a reason they built those castle walls, right? To keep the invaders and the barbarians out. And if you look at China, they built a great wall. You can see it from space. And the Mongols, who people think of as uneducated, Kublai Khan was certainly not. And the Mongols just rode around the wall. So however big your wall is, however nice your citadel is, maybe it's on the planet Mars, there's going to be some peasants nearby and they're going to walk around your walls. I say it all the time and I like saying it, but as General Patton said, fixed fortifications are a monument to the stupidity of man. So be flexible, keep moving. Don't show off your wealth. Don't build a big castle. It's like putting a big target on your back. I own a castle. Not a good thing to say in the middle of hyperinflation. But it's okay. You Bitcoiners can learn manners when the world collapses. Check out Cormac McCarthy's book, The Road. It's fantastic, but very depressing. Moving on to issue 3. Perth Heat becomes the first pro baseball club to accept Bitcoin payments and send Bitcoin payouts to players and staff using the Lightning Network. The only problem is the Perth Heat play in Australia. It's not even an American team. Martin Wismar, what do you think about this Australian baseball team accepting Bitcoin and using Lightning, which I think is a fantastic change? And I like to see that in the headline of the article. Great stuff.
I don't think anybody living in Perth has ever heard of this team. I don't think Perth Heat is such a big thing in Perth. And it's like, you know, in Amsterdam, they have a baseball team. I don't even know the name. It's like not a big thing there. You know, I think they play cricket or something. What do they play in Australia? We should have asked Josh. He's not on the show tonight, but he would have known. He would have definitely known the answer. You know, so it's good that they accept Bitcoin and all, and that they're giving up Bitcoin. It's all great, but it's not the all-star leagues as they do have in the US. So yeah, it's like next subject, please.
I'm being told the Amsterdam team is the Amsterdam Stoners. The Amsterdam Stoners.
No, that's just you, Thomas. No, they have a name, but I don't know what the name is.
He can't remember. He's having memory problems. Uh-oh. Dan, Eve, your thoughts about the amazing Australian baseball team, the Perth Heat. Go Perthers.
Well, I think it's pretty impressive. They're jumping in like head first, right? They're doing the salaries in Bitcoin. They're going to be accepting tickets, accepting advertising, sponsorship. They're pretty much going all in. And obviously, the coolest thing is that they're using Lightning. I think via OpenNode. Maybe they should run their own node. That should have been better. In fact, what would have been cool is if Perth said we're actually setting up an LN Bits wallet. That would be really cool. But ultimately, I like some of the quotes that have come out of the team. You'd expect some senior economist to be saying this rather than a baseball team. But I mean, listen to this. Like, this is for this is how far they are down the rabbit hole. We firmly believe that the mindset, I should do it in Australia. We firmly believe that the mindset that Bitcoin imparts on network participants will be felt by our players, coaches, staff, and our local fan base. And we look forward to setting the bar of how much value a sport. Oh wait, that's what the CEO said. Wait, wrong quote. This is the one I like. Sorry. The Perth Heat are committed to operating according to the Bitcoin standard, and in doing so, are shifting the corporate treasury from dollars to Bitcoin. The club has already established an initial position in BTC to help us secure its digital property rights on the world's most secure monetary network, and will continue to reinvest in all available capital into Bitcoin. Now that is head first, right? You'd expect that to be not from a baseball team, right? But that is absolutely incredible. Like, they are going deep down the rabbit hole, and fair play. So even though they may not be the biggest of organizations, I think it sets, at the end of the day, it sets an example. And people who are into Perth, baseball, this is how the virus spreads, right? They hear this. They've actually got a chief Bitcoin officer. That's amazing. Perth Heat chief Bitcoin officer Patrick O'Sullivan. So what a legend Patrick O'Sullivan is, spreading the seed of Bitcoin. I think it's fantastic, yeah. But I think next step is to an open node of cool and everything, but set up your own LM bits, and then you're really smashing it.
Excellent accent, Dan. Moving on to the exit question. Mark Cuban has flirted with Bitcoin, accepting Dogecoin for his Dallas Mavericks. But what major sports team will follow the Perth Heat? Who will accept Bitcoin next? Will it be an entire league, a team? Maybe some of the players I know in the US have asked for their salaries in Bitcoin. Started off with percentages, some of them going all in. I'll take all my money in Bitcoin. Martin Wismar, what sports team will be next?
I don't know. I don't know the name, but I think it will be individual players. It's just a sign of the times. I think, people, sorry, it's a bit quiet probably. People make a lot of money, in this, athletes make a lot of money, more than they actually need. So there's no sense in keeping it in the bank account somewhere, because they'll be paying interest instead of receiving it. So putting some of it, or all of it in crypto, and especially Bitcoin, is actually makes sense. So I think it will be in more and more individual players, and those individual players will create interest within the team, and then more and more people in the team will want to be paid in Bitcoin. And I think many will just receive their dollars or the euros or whatever fiat currency, and then convert it themselves. So, I don't know a specific team. It's for me, that's too hard. I know several Dutch soccer teams. They started, like, dabbling in crypto. One created their own shitcoin, which was like a bit of a mistake, but I think it's all a learning process. What team? I don't know. I'll leave it to you.
What I like about this is it takes a lot of the complexity out of being a rich sports player. At first, you have to hire a money manager and he runs off with your money. And then you go through Goldman Sachs or whatever, and they invest in a crappy stock and it goes down. Or you go with traditional, you buy bonds, you keep it in a savings account. I don't know what you're supposed to do. But there's all these hassles and hazards when it comes to being a player, and you just want to focus on football or baseball or whatever your sport is. You don't really care about money management. Now, if you choose Bitcoin, there's a good chance that you'll make a nice return. You'll be protected against inflation. If you set it up properly, it won't be stolen from you, even by your money manager. If you really set it up properly and put the receipt or whatever in your safe, not his safe, your safe. But the problem is Bitcoin being compared to all these other altcoins as if they were interchangeable. So you'll have a player out there who will bet his life savings on Solana or Dogecoin or Mintcoin or Vertcoin or Peercoin or WorldCoin. And he'll have the same feeling that the other guys do about Bitcoin. He'll be like, everything is fine. I'm in WorldCoin. I'm in Aurora Coin. Everything will be sweet. And it's not always the same. So I do fear if they choose door number one, they're fine. But if they choose any of the other doors, it's the wild, wild west. It could go well. It could go terribly. Dan, Eve, what football team will be next?
Well, so it just so happens that my local club, Southampton FC, the Saints, they're sponsored by Sportsbet.io. And Sportsbet now also sponsor, I think, Watford and Arsenal. So I think we might see a bit more of a proliferation of Bitcoin sponsoring of Premier Football leagues and in the Series A and other sort of European leagues. I think that's going to come through. I think Martin made a really good point about the individuals. The players have they make so much money. It's like hundreds of thousands a week, and having just that much cash. I mean, you can buy loads of shit with stuff with it, but why not buy even if just a fraction of Bitcoin? And that's these sports players, once these footballers end up buying just a little bit of Bitcoin and they see their 10 grand of Bitcoin go to 50 grand of Bitcoin, and they start telling all the other sports players, that's how it spreads. And it's obviously not all about money, because just look at the Perth baseball team who are like literally knees deep, neck deep in down the rabbit hole at the moment, trying to squeeze themselves down even further on the Bitcoin standard as well. So I think football's probably a good candidate, and it's also where a lot of big money is. So, and I think that we're going to see probably a lot more crypto sponsors, and preferably Bitcoin based sponsors, but probably a lot of crypto based sponsors, seeding out into the football leagues, I think.
It's funny that we're here talking about football teams versus other football teams. And originally we'd predicted that with the banks, several banks would start accepting it and the rest would go like dominoes. Now I think we need to extend that prediction to the football teams. If one of the team takes it, the other teams will be nervous and they'll get interested. But also we want to put a little Hillary Clinton in here and warn you, if you pay the players in Bitcoin and they make too much money, they might not even want to play. American football, for instance, is very dangerous, causes concussions, permanent brain damage. Many of the players can't even play with their children when they get old because their knees are shot. So if you pay them and they make too much money on Bitcoin, they might quit before their time. So maybe it's too good for them. We need to protect them from this so that they have longer careers. I think that's what Hillary would say. Moving on to the next topic. Check out WCN Clips. The WCN Clips channel on YouTube has clips of this show that are shorter than the entire show. Check it out at WCN Clips and subscribe on YouTube. It's also a great time to give us a thumbs up. In case you're wondering, YouTube algorithm judges videos by whether they get thumbs up. They're so into it, they've removed the dislike button. It doesn't even count dislikes anymore. So it doesn't even matter if you thumbs down. It only matters if you thumbs up. So this is a great time to figure out the interface and to go out of full screen. And it's a big hassle, but to give us a thumbs up and to subscribe so that more people will find the show. You can also mention us on Twitter, leave a comment. All of these things YouTube judges as interaction, and then they promote the show more in the algorithm, which is all that matters.
Thomas,
Yes.
before you click away, look, you should click the bell because the bell says no notifications. You will not be notified on air. Yes, that's what people should do. It's good we corrected this because otherwise you will not get notified on your own channel.
Well, but now I'm notified for things that I do, which I already know what I do. We'll see how it goes, if it lasts. But yes, you just click the bell for notifications. Moving on to issue 4. The Staples Center is getting a new name. This is a surprisingly sports-themed show. The Los Angeles Staples Center, where the Lakers, the Clippers, the Sparks, and the Kings, the hockey team plays there too, is getting a new name. The Crypto.com Arena. We've been waiting a long time for Bitcoin and Bitcoin money to get big enough to sponsor something like an arena. The locals are pissed off. They think that Staples, which is an office supply company, is a historic name. They're like, oh, we're sticking with Staples. I'm going to keep saying Staples. But all that matters is every night when the games are played, the professional announcers who use the professional names will say, we're live from the Crypto.com Arena. Before every Lakers game, before every Clippers game, I don't know who the Sparks are, and before the hockey team, the Kings, they will be saying Crypto.com. Martine Wishmayer, have we made it to the big times? Is Bitcoin or crypto? Are we mainstream as Staples or Sears?
But this is pretty mainstream, yes. I do have to say Crypto.com has also been sponsoring car races like Austin Martin and stuff. So they've been really promoting their exchange and their wallet, and they've got a cashback card. So they really want to make crypto mainstream. It used to be Monaco, and they did an ICO back in the days. It took a long time for them to get started. Eventually they rebranded as Crypto.com. The owner or previous owner of the Crypto.com domain name didn't want to sell it, just sell it. He only wanted to sell it to a company that would actually build a whole range of services around that domain name. And in that way they succeeded. They built an exchange, they launched their own shitcoin token, which is Crow, which has been going up a lot, but it's used as sort of oil to pay for the exchange fees and stuff. They have an exchange, they have a lending program, they have an earning program with interest paying accounts. It's quite comprehensive. They have nice metal cards which you can use and get cash back on every Visa purchase you do. So I think they just want to grow their brand and they want to really bring crypto into mainstream. And I think it will be, because if everybody starts using a crypto backed credit card, and even if they're just funding it with dollars and they get cash back in cryptocurrency and they convert that to Bitcoin, and then they, instead of spending it, they use that as their savings, they can get up to 8% or something like that. It's only if you have a huge stake, but most of the users will have 3% or 5% on their cards. And I think just by having a steady stream of cashback users in Bitcoin, that alone will bring the price like to Mars and beyond. I think this is good. So to answer your question, is absolutely Bitcoin is mainstream. You know, there's no doubt about it.
Crypto.com is also the company that produced the Matt Damon in a technological museum advertisement that we showed a couple of weeks ago. The female African-American Satoshi as an astronaut, and the celebration of crypto traders. Just an incredible video that shows Mars at the end, and Matt Damon's talking about the heroes. And again, he's talking about you. He's talking about the people that believed in Bitcoin when all the banks told them it was no good, and all the people said it was rat poison and a Ponzi scheme. And they still say that, but now they're getting shouted down by people who are like, look at this. They sponsored the whole arena. And I think it's a 20-year deal. I think it's the kind of thing you better get used to it. If you want to complain about it in Los Angeles, you're like, we're going to keep calling it the Staples Center because, you know, I got office supplies tattooed on my arm. I got a paper clip. What are you talking about? You'll get used to it. Crypto.com. It's going to be everywhere. And also, I love the whole fight back about crypto and they want it to be Bitcoin and whatever. This lifts all boats. This is good for everybody. You don't have to be, even if you're hardcore Litecoiner or you're holding on to your Maza coin, maybe you're California coin fan, Aurora coin mentioned earlier. I just love Aurora coin. But yeah, it doesn't matter. It lifts all boats. You're going to be fine. Even if it says crypto and it doesn't say Bitcoin. Dan, Eve, your thoughts about the crypto.com arena?
Yeah, you just, I must say earlier, I forgot to mention that you sent me back a few years because Vertcoin was actually the first coin that I ever tweeted about in 2014. That was like, I think I may have even bought some on oh, what was it called? Mint Pal. It was something like Mint Pal. Ooh. Anyway, memories.
And I think Vertcoin had a combination of algorithms. It would mine on this algorithm, that algorithm, this algorithm. So it would change. So you couldn't mine it with an ASIC. And what did that do? It made it hard to mine. And now it's disappeared. I don't know what happened to it. It was hard to mine. It's still actually around. According to CoinMarketCap, it's still actually around. It kind of went mental again in 2018 and hasn't done thus far. But yeah, forget about Vertcoin. But I think, you know, ultimately, you made a good point. You know, people are a bit angry that it's not kind of Bitcoin, you know, the Bitcoin stadium. We will see that one day. But it does seem like, you know, a lot of the general crypto companies have got a lot more, you know, cash to flash around. Obviously, Bitcoiners don't want to spend 700 million in Bitcoin. They don't want to give away $700 million of Bitcoin to name a stadium because they want to hodl it. So that's kind of I think the difference in cultures, right, is that Bitcoin, when you have Bitcoin, you don't want to get rid of it. You kind of, you know, you just want to know that you have it. Whereas these other cryptos, they're a bit more cash rich. They've got the money to go out and, you know, spend money on an advertisement campaign with Matt Damon with fancy kind of CGI and like, you know, pretending that you're the Wright brothers or, you know, you're an astronaut, you know, all this stuff. They've got the money to do that. And likewise, crypto.com have got the money to name this stadium. Obviously, there's a bit of, upset because obviously it was, you know, it's also known as the house that Kobe built. So, you know, people don't want to take away from that name. Obviously, you know, it's a legend who's passed on now. But it's just a stadium name, right? It's not, you know, it was called the Staples back then anyway. So it's, you know, it's still known as the house that Kobe built, but it's just now, you know, just got crypto shilling all over the shop. So I think ultimately it lifts all bags and everything goes back to Bitcoin. So if you're even if you're a Bitcoiner that hates general other shit coins, the thing is that people get into shit coins and then they read about Bitcoin and then they end up in Bitcoin. Like all roads lead back to Bitcoin. That's the main thing. So these are kind of little side parties, but the main party is always at Bitcoin. Maybe people thought that staples just meant like commodities, like the things you need to survive, the staples of life. And they didn't even know it was an office supply company. Maybe that's why they're mad. Moving on to the exit question. Now that we've reached the level of sponsoring arenas, and not just any arena, but the Los Angeles arena, the Lakers, the Clippers, the Sparks, and the Kings of hockey, What can we sponsor next? Martine, ideas. And if you're in the marketing department out there, you can put these on a list. It's going to cost you quite a lot. Martine, what can we sponsor next?
I was thinking like world ski championships, major championships, Formula One. I believe that's been done yet already by crypto.com. They were sponsoring, I believe, also. Yeah, the golf championships, because, money, and stuff like that, maybe sponsor, I don't know. I think world championships, that's where we're going, just with these sponsoring stadiums is so 2021, and we're almost over 20 in 2022. So I think, yeah, we'll see world championships being sponsored in every sport, not just skiing, but also golf and others. I think this is good. It gives nice coverage. Maybe Coinbase Arena, maybe Coinbase could sponsor, crypto.com is stealing all the show and Coinbase can't be left behind. So, I think Coinbase is probably going to sponsor something next.
I like the golf idea because it puts Bitcoin or crypto into the realm of luxury brands, Rolex watch, Mercedes, BMW, golf tournament. And then you're like, oh, and also Bitcoin. Like maybe this whole basketball thing is a little low brow for Bitcoin.
Yeah, we at General Bytes, we sponsored some Bitcoin, golf matches in the past. So that was that was just for fun, really. But yeah, I think golf is good. It's nice, all classy,
Well, and it's a long time ago, but I want to remind you kids about what BitPay did many years ago. They sponsored a college football game and a bowl game.
Oh, I remember.
The Bitcoin Bowl. And what was so neat about it, and again, this might be, we're going to call it neat, but on the other side, it might have just been a ploy, and I'll talk about that too. But BitPay didn't sponsor it as the BitPay Bowl. They sponsored it as the Bitcoin Bowl. Now, of course, we celebrated that out here. We were like, yay, Bitcoin and all that. But cynically, I think they really wanted Coinbase and some other companies to push in some money, and they didn't get the money. The press didn't seem to help them, and they didn't continue the sponsorship for a second year. If you check back on the channel, we did a live play-by-play commentary of the game, which did feature several advertisements for Bitcoin and BitPay. Everybody hates them now, but still, they sponsored us a bowl. It was pretty cool. And that was a major step towards these sponsorships. So I want to give them a good honorable mention there. Dan, Eve, what can Bitcoin or crypto sponsor next?
I'm sticking with football. I think it's still one of the most worldwide sports, and I think if some of these companies are pretty cash rich at the moment, especially with the kind of general alt season that's being dragged along by Bitcoin. I think there's going to be a lot more money spent on advertising in football and taking advantage of the worldwide crowds, and especially I think the Premier League still one of the most popular ones. So I think there's going to be more breakouts of Premier League sponsorship around the world, with crypto companies.
Now, Dan's got the sweatshirt on today. Dan, show him the sweatshirt. We got to think bigger here. NASA is going back to the moon, and in a stunning twist, probably right out of my favorite TV show, For All Mankind, NASA is, for whatever reason you want to say, they're going to land the first African-American, or perhaps the first African-American woman, on the moon. And I think Bitcoin or crypto or whatever should be there. So Bitcoin, NASA, we sponsor a moonshot. We literally take Bitcoin to the moon. We take a great crew of wonderful astronauts from all over the world, all ethnicities, races, sexes, whatever. Get the best crew we can get, the best scientists. Let's go back to the moon. Let's go back to the moon with Bitcoin, with crypto. We should bring a car. We should do everything. We should put a little plaque on the moon. Maybe we can cover over that Richard Nixon plaque. We can put a Bitcoin plaque on top of that. We can build a moon base. We can go to Mars. I'd much rather have Bitcoin leading us into space than Jeff Bezos or Elon Musk at Tesla. So Bitcoin to the moon. What do you think, guys?
Absolutely.
Hell yeah. And one thing I would like to see, how about this? Sorry, my imagination was going wild. So it made me think about, so I think Martine mentioned what, like a rally event or a racing event. So what if they did like a rally, but with every hill that was going down was like, they painted it red and everyone up was green. So like the rally cars were constantly like tripping across red and green, and actually to the lap, the lap setter would be done by like one of those little replica car of like the Bitcoin roller coaster thing, like doing that. So before all the cars went round, you'd see that little kind of Bitcoin roller coaster guy going.
I think that would be great for FTX as well, because they're such a trading based company. They're an exchange, and the ups and downs and everything. And I also want to double down. The moon is good, but we can go further. People don't like the James Webb Space Telescope. Maybe that could be the Bitcoin Space Telescope, something like Voyager. We could go out of the universe into the galaxies, Bitcoin to deep space, right? And they could say all the time, we've got reports from the Bitcoin rovers on Mars, Bitcoin and Biddy 2 or whatever. I just think it'd be great. Space, Bitcoin costs a lot of money. The sponsorship money can go to scientists and people like that, and we can do some good and learn some stuff while we're advertising for Bitcoin. So NASA, give us a call. We're right here waiting. We'll hook you up. Moving on to issue 5. Cryptographers are furious that crypto now means something else. I love this story. And what I love about it is that when we started the World Crypto Network in 2013, there was already a World Bitcoin Network started by our friend James D'Angelo. And I really like James' work, and I didn't want to copy him or compete with him or try to steal his name or whatever. So we worked around trying to find a generic term for Bitcoin, and we came to crypto. And we also said that we're interested in encrypting our email. We're interested in encrypting our chat messages and our hard drives and everything. We love crypto, the idea. It was cryptographers that built Bitcoin, people like Peter Todd and Adam Back, early people on the crypto mailing list. So it was really obvious and right there. But now there's been a huge pushback. In our area, it's mainly from Bitcoiners who don't like the term crypto. But now there's a second group of people that don't like the term crypto, the cryptographers. They would prefer that you talked about actual cryptography, not cryptocurrency. Dan, Eve, what do you think about this great fun issue of fighting over generic terms for Bitcoin?
Oh, I think it's pretty cute. You got to feel for these guys. They've been using the term crypto all along to describe, their cryptography and actual, all the elliptic curve stuff and all the crazy cool stuff about encryption. And now it's been hijacked by a bunch of crypto bros with shit coins. So it's got to be a bit frustrating for them. There's even T-shirts, right? Like it's crypto. What is it? Crypto means cryptography. Just to remind everyone. But
that's really catchy. That's really catchy.
It is, yeah.
Where can we order those shirts? Have you seen them online for sale?
You have to pay for them.
I've seen a lot of them at the crypto.com arena. Everyone was wearing one.
I want one that says crypto means cryptocurrency.
Oh, that would really ruffle some feathers. But yeah, it's sad, obviously, that that words get hijacked and they kind of they morph meanings over time. But that's the kind of beauty of language, isn't it? That it evolves, and ultimately, cryptocurrencies are they're the basis. They're made from cryptographic hashes of whether it's SHA-256 or ETH hash or whatever. It's kind of, it does it is made from cryptography, but just obviously not the same amount of cryptography that they would like. So I feel for them. Sorry for hijacking your word.
Well, I like this issue because I always feel personally offended. Everyone's on Twitter and they've got their flags and they're like, crypto isn't Bitcoin, Bitcoin isn't crypto, and they're very militant about it. And I'm just there quietly in the background. We named our network in 2013. And so far they just ignore us like they ignore us on everything else. So that's probably for the best. But yeah, I do always feel a bit of twinge of they don't like crypto anymore. And I was like, but I'm trying to be generic. And also when I first got into Bitcoin, I understood how to encrypt my email. I understood how to encrypt my hard drive. And when they told me they were encrypting the Bitcoin and that the signatures were a part of Bitcoin, I understood it in the line of PGP, in the line of email encryption, and all these other things that I'd already, studied and understood. So I always thought the two were connected. So it's very interesting to see all these people. We don't like crypto, but I love crypto. I love cryptography. These are our people, right? And Bitcoin is our people. So we should all just get along. Martine, what do you think about crypto?
I think they're like, making a bit of a fuss out of nothing because, before Bitcoin, I worked with cryptography. We used PGP to batch encrypt stuff coming from the mainframe. We used the X509 certificates to encrypt mail and deploy them using what Active Directory at the time. I don't know if this stuff still exists, probably does, but nobody uses Microsoft anymore. And we encrypted hard drives with TrueCrypt or whatever cryptography we had or encryption tools we had. So we never really called it crypto. I think they're just, they're just jealous that we took like this short name for cryptography. I think this is lots of jealousy. No coiners mentality. I think that should really stop. Just call your stuff cryptography and we can call our cryptocurrencies crypto. No, we're not going to give the name back. Sorry, man. We moved on. The world moved on. Crypto is cryptocurrency.
Also, according to Stephen Colbert, it's not even an argument. As Stephen Colbert once said famously, Al Gore's book and movie, The Inconvenient Truth, made money. Therefore, he's right. Global warming is real. Bitcoin and cryptocurrency have made lots and lots of money. Therefore, we're right. And crypto means cryptocurrency. Sorry, cryptographers, you lost. Try to make more money next time.
Yeah, we won.
We don't even need an exit question. We nailed that one. Moving on to bonus issue number 6. Someone right-clicked every NFT in the heist of the century. For around 18 terabytes, you can download a torrent with every single NFT on the Ethereum blockchain. I'm also told it includes something called the Solana blockchain and maybe even more. Every single NFT you could right click all at the same time just for a mere 18 or so terabytes on your hard drive. Not a problem. I'm going to go find that torrent later. You can even download the NFTs individually on something called NFT Bay, where you can search. I searched for Curio. I didn't find anything, so I'm kind of miffed, but it's probably because ours are named like CRO-1 or something. You can't find them. But Martine, I know you love NFTs. What about the opportunity to download them all at once? Does this devalue the $1 million crypto punks, etc.?
Well, if my connection is stuttering, it's because I'm downloading this 18 terabytes torrent at this very moment. Because, it's fun, of course. It's a copy. It's not the original. But I think it's nice to this way we can all select the ones we like and we pretend to our friends that we actually own that NFT that is displayed in our picture frame. So yeah, cool. I think it's funny. You got to be a little bit of a nutter to go right click every single one of those NFTs because there are so many of them. And it's good to know that the Curio cards are not there because that means they're still very, very, very exclusive and rare. So if you get your hands on a Curio card, better hold on to it because nobody else has it.
Dan, Eve.
Well, I'm actually pretty astounded that it's 18 terabytes. That's so many. Like how many terabytes photos can a 1 terabyte hold? It's in the 250,000. So that's like 250,000. My maths is really bad, so I'm just going to cheat and times 18. So that's 250,000 times 18. That's 4.5 million images. That's pretty impressive.
But aren't many of those NFTs also little animations, like little videos and stuff? And they eat up a lot of space. So so I might have to add some extra disks to my NAS storage. So
some have audio as well, right? You can have like audio NFTs. I mean, obviously, I like what I do like is seeing every now and then someone like getting angry because someone who bought the NFT as having a go at someone who like right click and saved it and then is using it for their profile picture, like Bored Ape. Like, hey man, I'm gonna get my lawyers on you. I paid 250 grand for that Bored Ape. Like, and you're using it as your image, right? And literally, my mum's gonna knock on your door now. Like, she's not happy. So I think the NFTs, they still haven't really reached the top either. There's stuff coming out, whole sets like Thor guards and pixel stuff, and or just every day that you see like the pixel penguins and all sorts of stuff. These self-generated things, right? So you've got like the rarities and all that. I think it's definitely got a long way to go. There are some interesting more usages, like using NFTs to represent identification. So if you're using that for some form of KYC and stuff. But ultimately, I think, it would take you a long time to look through 4.5 million images. If we were just to say, using the image standard, that's a lot of images. So a lot of right clicking.
Yeah, I think it's cute, but it's kind of a pretend story. We're kind of just messing around. It's a lot of this is what I thought of when I first got into Bitcoin. And I said, oh, there's a digital currency. I'm going to make a copy of that and I'm going to be rich. Because everything else on the computer, going back to when it was invented by Xerox, the mouse and the user interface, it's been a copy machine. I wanted to copy games. I wanted to copy Windows. I wanted to copy Netscape. Whatever it was, you could get a copy of it and you could run it. You could learn how the program works and you could educate yourself. Early copies of Photoshop have trained tons of artists out there. And some of them might have even been illegal copies. So this is fun to pretend that you have the NFTs, but just like with Bitcoin, if you don't have the signature and it doesn't fit, like a key in the lock, you don't really have it. So yes, you could put your Twitter profile up, you could have a Bored Ape, but you could just as easily, right click and download the Bored Ape from the guy you want to mess with. And then you could say that it's yours. So, but I do like that they're all in one big package. I like the potential for historical archiving here. I forgot the thing, but there's a thing you could put it on. It's like NTFS or NFS or some kind of world filed system. IPFS. That's it. Okay.
It's an interplanetary file system.
Yeah.
So it's Earth and beyond.
And if your NFT wasn't stored on there, we could go down the line where people only have the signatures and they go to the link and the web server has been taken down. And if it's not on IPFS, it could disappear. In some ways, this huge download that this guy's made, making fun of NFTs, having fun with it, could actually be useful in the future as a historical archive to reconstruct some of these NFTs if the guys don't go the extra level of storing the images on IPFS, or if they don't store them properly, if there's some kind of issue. So I like that there. They're probably not thinking that way. They're clearly, taking the piss out of NFTs, but I think it's a fun story. I think the right click thing's fun, but it really just goes back to, like with Bitcoin, or as we were talking about PGP and email encryption, if you have the key, it fits in the lock. If you don't have the key, you don't have jack shit. And people need to realize that. It's like your password. If you have your password, you can log into your account. If you don't have your password, or if you have some copy of all the passwords in the world, but they're all hashed, they're all mixed up numbers and letters, you have them, like you definitely have them, but they're hashed. They're not usable. And while these NFTs, they don't quite have it where, you show your NFT and you get into the club, they're getting closer to that. And when they do that, it's not going to be like your identification. They're just looking for a picture. They're going to check the signature. They're going to check that the key fits in the lock. And if you're LARPing and you're pretending that you have all the NFTs in the world, they're going to find out really quick. So it's a fun story, but I don't think
talking of the event side, so I think Adam from CoinFest messaged me, and so I'll be there on the Saturday. I'm not sure what date it is. I think it's the 27th, right? 27th, something like that. But anyway, I'll be like singing about Bitcoin and crypto on at CoinFest, and I think that everyone who turns up will get a Cryptoraptor NFT. So,
that's pretty cool.
Yeah, which is pretty cool. I'm pretty proud of that.
I didn't know you were in a band too, man.
Oh, it's not a band. It's more like I'm just a solo satirical, like it's all about fun. It's nothing serious. I'm definitely not a serious rapper or serious singer. It's just some crypto fun. I've got to
Awesome. Yeah.
prefix it.
Well, and I think that's a really good use for NFTs. Originally, I thought, of course, tickets getting you into an event, but really promotions. These exclusive NFTs are great. And if you're an artist and you make a one of one, I think that's really cool. But if you're an artist and you make 1,000 or 1,000,000 of these NFTs, you dump them on everyone, I think that's cool too, because now 1,000,000 people own it. And as we did with curio cards, if that's part of a set, if you give somebody a part one of a 3-part book or a 3-part movie, they're probably going to watch the other parts. A certain percentage are going to go buy the other NFTs so they can complete the collection. So for promotions, it's real easy. You make that first one, everybody at the conference, and then the other one, you only make 5 of them, and you dole them out. And that promotional element, that ability to dump these like email, you could just get everybody's addresses, dump a bunch of NFTs on them. It's fun. It's interactive. You actually own something, even if 1,000 other people own it. But I don't think people are seeing it that way lately. A lot of the interest is into these one of ones. The thing has a cigar. I smoke cigars. Therefore, that thing represents me. And they were talking about it in the chat yesterday. They were talking about how a guy didn't want to sell his lucky lion or something because he put it on his profile pic, and now everyone thinks of him as the purple lion. And that's cool. But it's also like, I see something a little missing there where you're still allowing other people to define yourself. Maybe you changed it from a Jedi Knight to a purple lion, or from Spider-Man to a purple lion. You should be yourself, or create your own internet profile, as I and many others have. As Joey said in Hackers, if you don't have an alias, if you don't have a handle, it's like you don't exist. And now we have all these people with these generated things. And they're like, oh, it's cool because it's generated and I bought it from some guy who says it's cool. You should just make it yourself. Like, go make your own Bored Ape and put your own like little thing. Like, this one has my eyes because I photoshopped it. That's unique. That's original. And then sell that as a one of one NFT. And now someone else is using your eyes. And you understand what I'm saying here. You've tricked them a little bit. You've played one on them. And a lot of these people are like setting their identities based on other people's ideas. I don't know how that's going to turn out in the end. I think we're moving on to the exit question. Maybe something about NFTs. Are you really excited for any area of NFTs, or do you think it's just another altcoin? Martin Wismayer.
I liked him at first. I wasn't sure, but gradually, it gets you. I think it's good from it's just a good way to authenticate art, basically. You got digital art, and that's always has been oh, it's digital, you can copy it. Sure, you can copy it, but now you can prove it's actually yours. And I think that's definitely worth something. And it's also something we've seen at all the auction houses. They're getting onto it. And major corporations like McDonald's, Macy's, they're all doing their NFTs. I think you're really spot on with the series, and making people want to complete a series. So it makes sense to make them in a series. There's one-off things. They might be nice. I've seen some really nice art, and sure, it's NFT, but even if it wouldn't be, I would still like it. But because it's an NFT, it makes it unique. It's your NFT, and I think this really it really makes sense. I think it's the future of digital art, and I think it will help digital art grow in ways we haven't seen it grow in the past decades. Because it was always easy to copy paste, and then I'm the original. No, I'm the original. But now you can prove you're the original, and you're not just the guy that downloaded 18 terabytes of data from the internet. So yeah, I see a big future for NFTs. But I forgot the exit question. I don't know what the question was. I forgot. Did I answer it or not?
You did fine. You talked about NFTs. It's good.
Okay, cool.
Dan, Eve, your thoughts on NFTs in the future?
Well, I read about NFTs being used for IDs today. So trying to tackle the identification problem online. I think that's kind of quite a cool idea. But I think one I can't remember who. I think it might have been Josh actually. We discussed it a while back. But the fact that say with artists, singers, musicians, bands, whatever, whoever sells tickets for an event, they often get stuff because of secondary markets. Whereas if you have NFTs, that you can have rights that go back. So even if the ticket gets sold on 20 times, at least it goes up and down and whatever in price, at least that money's going back to the original artist rather than just in the hands of whoever bought it. So I think that's quite cool. Also things like just the actual ticket itself, people still find value in like the original, I don't know, a Glastonbury ticket from 20 years ago. So that's got some value to it. It's got a history to it. It was used to actually get into Glastonbury, for example, and that year. So I think there's some exciting stuff there. But just in general, it's just tipping the kind of, I don't know, the art world on its head, and kind of using that. Everyone's always talked about the provenance of stuff, like the provenance of stuff. Like when I was getting in even in 2013, it was like we're going to use blockchain to track wine, and you can use the blockchain to track what grapes are on. And even though
bananas,
I was like, this is ludicrous, yeah, exactly,
bananas on the blockchain,
bananas on the blockchain. Like this is ludicrous, but the NFT sort of side of things, I think, has got a lot more actual real world applications. So yeah, I'm excited to see what NFTs can actually do and how they can make people's make people's lives better for like bands, for example, to make sure that they're getting a lot more of the capital that's being spread around from their tickets.
We did before we move on. The tickets thing is actually a very good one. We had a ICO a few years ago when the ICOs were all hot. It was called Guts, Guts, and they did ticketing on the Ethereum blockchain. And what they did it because they wanted to kill off the whole secondary retail, secondary sale market for tickets, and it does work. They do it, you can transfer and you can sell your ticket, but you can only sell it for a certain amount, and there's no like crazy price increases, and it helps getting taps on this whole secondary ticket market. But the thing is that most of the companies that actually sell those tickets, they also make money on the secondary market, like Mojo and all the other ones. So the industry itself isn't too excited. But Guts is still doing great. And okay, of course, they've been hit by the pandemic where no performances took place, but they're still around. And I think they'll be around for the years to come. And yeah, so yeah, definitely works. And I think you have a point there, Dan, that if an NFT gets sold, and it's sold on the secondary market, and the contract is smart enough that it gives a kickback to the original artist, that would be best, because that would really revolutionize the art world.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with what Martin said earlier. For a digital artist, like if you're a 3D artist, or if you're a Photoshopper like Philippe, and you get to the final and you're like, okay, I'm done. This is the item. You can't really do anything. You can't make a one of one of that item and say that was the done one until now. Now you can attach a signature that has a time and a date to that item. And you could say, this is the signature that represents this item that I have made. And then you have that opportunity where you can resell that signature. You can give it to people as a proof with like a physical work, but mainly for the digital artist where they couldn't make a physical work. They didn't have anything to sell as an original. Now they can sell that as an original. So it's a huge benefit to them. I'm a little unsure. I want it to support independent artists, but if you look at these kind of corporations that are coming up, they take one image from an original artist and then they put a hat on it, and then they put a cigar on it, and they put 3D glasses on it. And it's not so much the original artist that's being celebrated. It's this algorithm that determines that there should be 30 ones with 3D glasses, and there should be 15 ones with 3D glasses and a cigar. And it's not really supporting the artist directly. So I do like it better when the artists are selling it directly, when they're the ones making the money, and when the works are more original. I mean, we didn't have Picasso like, I'm going to make a bowl, then I'm going to make a bowl with a hat on it. then I'm going to make a bowl with a cigar. He was like, I'm going to make a bunch of different paintings and different aspects of things and angles. I'm going to put cubes in this one. He wasn't just like, this is my greatest work, the Mona Lisa. And now Mona Lisa with a cigarette, Mona Lisa with glasses, Mona Lisa with a hat. Like, he didn't do that, right? Leonardo didn't do that. So I'm a bit uncertain about that direction that they're taking it. And also, as a final note, if you don't own the rights to something, you can't NFT it. Recently, Quentin Tarantino, fantastic filmmaker, amazing writer, a huge personal fan, said that he was going to sell these extra scenes from Pulp Fiction as NFTs. Well, it turns out he didn't even bother to check with Miramax, the company that he sold the screenplay to, the company that made the movie Pulp Fiction. You sold them the screenplay. It included those scenes. I'm not sure you own them. So you can't NFT something you don't own. It was great to have Quentin in the NFT world. I saw Coin Artist did a panel with him. I'm jealous beyond all control here, but he's actually going to lose that lawsuit. He's well in the wrong. I don't know the details of the contract, but if you sign the screenplay over to someone, you don't own it anymore. So you can't NFT it. So it's going to be interesting to see how that goes. It was also interesting to see that Miramax, in their reply to him, said that they had plans to make NFTs presumably of all their movies, of all their characters, of all the scenes, all the locations, all the whatever from all of their movies. And you have to think once again, what an incredible value these movie scripts and movie screenplays and movie studios are. If you think about Disney buying Marvel, buying Star Wars, it's so much better now because they can NFT all that stuff. Every minor character in every Marvel comic book could now become an NFT. And if they do a 1 of 1 or 1 of 10, they could sell them for thousands, maybe millions of dollars. So once again, we have to reevaluate the importance of owning your masters, right? Taylor Swift is currently re-recording all of her albums because she's upset with the company that owns her masters. She's in a unique position with music where she can do that. Unfortunately, the writers and authors of Spider-Man don't really own anything. They can't really make Spider-Man stories, do the Taylor's version of Spider-Man. They can't really do that. So they're in a pinch. But if you can draw, if you can make new stuff, you can always make alternative versions and different dramatic things, and then you can sell them. And then I guess you could put a hat on it, and then you can put a cigar on it, and you can put glasses on it. You could sell it 10 times as much. I don't know. But I think it's really exciting to watch the whole thing grow up and watch it happen. And all these things I predicted and all these things I talked about sports teams adopting NFTs and movie studios and comic books, and just what a boon it would be for everybody is happening. It's happening in all directions and all out of control. And I don't get a cut of anything, but it is happening and it's exciting to see. And I look forward to it. I think we're going to hear a lot more from NFTs, or blockchain collectibles, as we used to call them. We're running out of time, but there's just a little bit time left. Martine, do you have a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
We just hit a new record, 11,111 machines sold. So it was recently Singles Day. I don't know if that's a thing on 11/11. It's a big Chinese shopping thing because it's 11.11. So we sold 1111. We sold all. It's we celebrated it with a bigger screen and all, and it's a milestone. I think it's a sign that the industry is really growing up. We reached another milestone with every trade.io, the bookkeeping package. So it's nice. It's just for us, it's just business as usual. It's just more colleagues, and but it really shows, I think, that crypto or Bitcoin is on the right track. And the fact about the subjects we talked about this week's episode here, with the NFTs, like major stadiums being rebranded, I don't know where we're going, but it's going to be big. So yeah, that was my prediction of the week.
Well, it's great to see. Congratulations to General Bytes. And I used to mainly see General Bytes ATMs around Europe when I'd go on my trip. But now my friend says they're in a convenience mart near me, and they're in the mall, and then they're in this other place, and they're just everywhere.
Actually, it's the US that we're selling like 80 to 90% of all our machines to. It's the US is really market leader in ATMs globally. Yeah. But you're right, it used to be Europe only.
And even then, Bitcoin ATMs used to have to go to San Francisco, or you have to go to the big city, and you got to go to some dirty shop somewhere, and they're the only ATM in town. And now, no matter where you are, you can open it up. We used to have like Bitcoin ATM map. I'm sure they have something like that now. But it's mainstream. It's everywhere, like convenience stations and malls and shopping
Gas
places.
stations.
Absolutely. And
It is the ATM operators that place them at gas stations. They are the ones that really benefited from this whole pandemic shutdown, because everything was shutting down. But gas station is essential, so it's not shutting down. So that was the perfect place for placing those ATMs during the pandemic. But now everything's opening up again, and you see them popping up everywhere. So I think it's good. It's something that makes it less virtual, more more real life. If you're not sure whether Bitcoin has any value, you are convinced after you put a $20 note in it and you get this magical number on your phone. So yeah, definitely has value. I just paid $20 for it. So yeah, I think it helps onboarding. And we're seeing also in El Salvador that we even have like one of our machines. It's rebranded as a Chivo ATM, which means cool in Spanish. I had to look it up, but it's like cool. They're all Chivo ATMs in El Salvador. So we're gradually, looking at Latin America. That's why it was this week, right? Ben was at the LA BitConf. And what was the name of the guy again? We recently had him on the show like a month back or so. Rodolfo. Yeah. So I hope we will be at the La Bitcoin Conf next year, because I think that's where we're heading.
Another neat thing about the Bitcoin ATMs is they're also price screens. So if you're not a Bitcoiner, you don't look at your phone every 5 minutes to check the price. Like Vital Vegas, this guy has a great Twitter account. He covers Las Vegas as like a travel blog. And there's a Bitcoin ATM at the D Casino. So every once in a while, he'll walk by that Bitcoin ATM, and they have a large surcharge on top of their payments. So the price always looks higher there than in the normal markets. But for a normal person to watch Bitcoin go 5, 10, 25, 60, 68, 69,000, whatever, every time he walks by that ATM, it's the greatest advertisement for Bitcoin that we can do. And you got to figure all the workers, all the normal people, the guy doing the vacuum cleaner, all that, they walk by that ATM too. They see that price. And eventually, hopefully, it'll catch on, and they'll give it a try with a little of their extra money.
It's number go up technology, and it makes it visible. Yes.
Dan, Eve, do you have a prediction or a story of the week? Go ahead.
I predict that I'll be doing the show next week from somewhere in Manchester for CoinFest. So if you are in the UK and you're bored next weekend, I think they've actually sold as many, and I say sold, it's free tickets. So go to coinfest.co.uk, I think it's .co.uk, and yeah, sign up. Get it's coinfest.org, sorry, coinfestuk.org, coinfestuk.org, and get yourself a free ticket, and I'll see you there.
And check out CoinFest. If you're in the UK, like Dan says, it's a great conference. I got to go a couple of years ago. Adam, the organizer, is a good dude, and he's trying hard. If you have a Bitcoin company, maybe you could sponsor CoinFest. If you bought Bitcoin early, maybe you could donate. Like Dan said, the tickets are free, which is shocking in this day and age where certain conferences and certain other carpetbaggers have moved in and charged $500 or $1,000, or you could get a VIP ticket for $2,000 or $3,000, $4,000, whatever it is. If you give them a small car, they'll let you go see some speeches about Bitcoin. At CoinFest, you can actually go for free with your friends, bring your family, bring the people that don't believe in Bitcoin, and watch some speeches, meet some Bitcoiners, go out to dinner, buy some merch. It's a lot of fun. There are some cool artists there. Last time, hodl.rocks was there. I got a really cool little Satoshi thing, layered wood, 3D cut thing. It's very cool. A lot of other people. There's the guys with the crypto socks were there, and support the sponsors, support the conventions, especially these smaller ones. They're not all giant blockbuster New York City conferences. So if you're near Manchester, and maybe you're in England and you've never been to Manchester, they have trains, they have buses and stuff. You could go out there.
It's a good vibe too. It's really like a nice, even if you're like new to crypto, it's really nice atmosphere. And there's like plenty of stuff you can like buy. You can spend all your Bitcoins on art. I think Dan did that already once.
Yeah, I certainly did. Regrettably, I can't even imagine how much I spent. I think it was like 0.4, 0.6 or something like that on my first year. And but it was all good. It's all good. I've put the art dealer through several generations of for kids through university. but no, it's good. They're looking for sponsors, exactly as Tom said and Martin said. So sponsor CoinFest, UK.org. And 25th to the 28th of November, I'll be there, and so will some. I think hopefully Ben might even be there as well if we can convince him. I'm sure he will be.
Says it's at the Manchester Conference Center, so check it out in Manchester CoinFest. I think we're running out of time for today. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Be sure to give us a thumbs up down below and subscribe if you haven't already. Until next time.
Bye.